Hello, English 122 students, online students, here to talk to you before the weekend of Module 5 to give you some announcements so you know what's going on at the end of this week, the beginning of next week. And y'all, as I'm moving to the content page to show you something I've added to our show, it's actually already on the screen because I was just there. But on the contents page, if you scroll to the bottom of all the modules where you get all the information for the work we do each week, the work you should be doing, you'll notice that I've started adding some other pages on module that sort of accumulate everything together. So, all the readings are in one location and resources and those kinds of things that I provide links for in the modules. I've added an essay instructions page, y'all, and so when you click on it, since it's at the bottom of the content page, you'll have to scroll to the top because there's not a lot on this page. I am going to start accumulating all the essay instructions. So, as you start to receive your essay 1 back, I'm working on grading those. There's a revision due in a couple of weeks if you want to revise. As you're working on essay 2, and then that one's graded and returned to you and you want to revise that, you have a way to find all the essay instructions without going back through the modules. So you notice I've put the instructions for rhetorical analysis here and the instructions for essay 2, the writing, revision of writing from your past here. So let's talk for just a minute, y'all, about why we did the rhetorical analysis. Why did we start there? Well, gosh, there's lots of reasons for me. For me, it was to help you to write your most academic essay of the semester, to practice that skill, because other professors expect you to come to the courses ready to write academic essays. But as I expressed to you in the syllabus and earlier in the semester, my goal is for us to practice academic skills and real writing skills. As a writing instructor of 25 years, always teaching at the community college level, one of the things that has bothered me the most about my instruction is that I'm only teaching you how to write college essays. And I don't like being in that position. I like being in the position of helping you to improve your writing for college essays and essays that can exist outside of a college classroom. So that's what essay 2 is about, sort of. Doing the rhetorical analysis made you practice looking at how a writer writes and how they design an essay and what decisions they make about audience, purpose, exigence, ethos, pathos, logos, all of these terms we've talked about in the last 4 weeks, in the last 5 weeks. It forced you to look at how another writer did that. And now you're in the position of being the writer making those choices. That's what essay 2 is helping you to do, is to practice being the writer who has to choose purpose, audience, all of the requirements for essay 2. So, I'm just going to click on the instructions for essay 2 to remind you that a lot of the concepts, a lot of the rhetorical concepts that we reviewed, learned about in the process of doing the rhetorical analysis are now required of you. Especially, you can read through the list of requirements. I'm not going to do that. You can read that. That would waste your time for me to read through those. But I want to highlight these at the bottom. These are from the bottom up, some of the rhetorical concepts that we've learned already that you're now going to adapt and put into your writing. I shouldn't say adapt, I should say apply. But you may still adapt them. You may be creative with them, so that's okay for me to say also. And then I want to talk just for a moment about the 2 sources, y'all. You may already have sources in your essay, in the original file, and it's okay for you to keep those and use those as long as they will still fit with all of the other changes you're putting into place. You may find yourself needing to use some new sources and finding some new sources, so please research those and find those. But I want to talk about for just 5 seconds that you can use what might be for you a non-academic source. Videos, tweets, Instagram posts, anywhere where you will find information that will support your writing, images, graphs, interviews that you complete. So be thinking about sources that might go outside of what fits within an academic context, especially if those kinds of sources align with the writing that you're doing. Some of you will stick with academic writing. Some of you will merge academic writing with a more real-world writing, whether that aligns with journalism or personal writing or business writing, or there's someone in our online classes who wants to be a lawyer and so is writing about things from a legal perspective. So your writing might merge with a genre that doesn't fit within an academic context, and that's okay. It's really interesting to me, writing these days is more about creating hybrid pieces of writing and not aligning with a particular style of writing all the way. So really excited for seeing what you all create. Just a couple other reminders, y'all. I'm going to try not to go past 10 minutes, but I have a sticky note here so I don't forget. So we've looked at the instruction sheet. I've reminded you about why we practice the rhetorical analysis. It was really to help you to understand what writers do and think about and make choices about so that you would be prepared to do that as well in Essay 2. An update on the workshop, y'all. Workshop 2 is happening during Module 6. We're almost there, but I'm extending the time for the writers in Workshop 2. They will post their workshop drafts by the end of the day, Monday, February 21st. And then the workshop window, the time in which you can provide comments on your workshop draft, your workshop partner's draft, will be February 22nd through February 24th. So be prepared to log in, read a draft, and add a comment. It's really that simple. You're only reading one draft because it's one person's draft, and then adding a comment. Remember, we will stick with the same guidelines as last time. 2 points of praise, 2 ideas for how something could improve. Some of the drafts will not be completed, and that's okay. I've given the writers permission to do that. They're in a writing process, the same as you, so they may not have completed essays. So you may think about ideas for, next parts of the essay, or answer their questions. Remember, they will post something at the top of their drafts or in the DB post that says, here's where I need help. So make sure you read through that as well and support your writers. And as we did with Workshop 1, as you're giving comments, thinking about how what you've seen other writers do is inspiring you in your own essay writing. The Essay 2 deadline, you all, we are moving through this assignment really fast. It is February 27th, so at the end of Module 6, that's next week, not this week, but next week, you will turn in Essay 2. So keep that in mind as you are planning, and you're really using your own writing process here. I probably won't make a lot of assignments during Module 6 since you're just working on your essay. They'll just be sort of the workshop and maybe one check-in assignment, but probably not a lot next week. I'll definitely ask you to do some reading next week, y'all. Look, let me go back to my page in D2L to remind you of something that's really important. It always seems like reading in courses, in college courses, is kind of a pain in the butt because, you're not maybe interested in the reading that's being assigned. Sometimes you are, sometimes you're not. Just the idea of being forced to read something is maybe painful enough, and it just kind of gives us a bad taste in our mouth for reading. But the deal with reading and writing is definitely represented in this image that I've shared at the top of this essay instruction page that I've added inside our D2L show. Y'all, if you don't read a lot, if you don't feed your brain with words and sentence structures and paragraph structures and different places to put punctuation marks and punctuation marks you've never used or ever seen, if you don't feed your brain with reading, your writing will not improve. And so I am going to, during Module 6, probably ask you to look at the same essays that I assigned for Module 5, but choosing a different one. And be prepared to read something that you're not necessarily thinking you will like, and try to do some more advanced reading. Here's the advanced reading I'm talking about. Don't just read things for content. Don't just read an essay for what it's about. Read the essay for how it works. And again, I'm stressing why we did the rhetorical analysis, because when you start to look for the way the essay is crafted, the way the essay is put together, the way the essay uses rhetorical concepts that we've been learning in the class, then you're doing a more advanced reading because you're doing both what it says and how it works. So don't forget that reading feeds your writing, and so you have to read. All right, a couple more reminders, you all, and then I'm out of here for the weekend. I log off at 5 today, so I will be checking email between 4 and 5 if you have questions. You all, I am reading the Module 5 journals now. You posted them by the end of the day on the 17th. Today's the 18th. And so what I'm doing is reading a journal and then going to your essay file. So you will be getting both of those assignments back at the same time, or, around the same time. It takes me a few minutes to then read through your essay and then give more ideas or agree with your journal. Why is this happening? You're thinking to yourself, I uploaded that file weeks ago. Let me tell you why. Because you have choices to make. You're the writer. I'm not the writer. I'm not going to tell you how to write your essay. You have to make those decisions. So I have to read your journal first, and then I go to your file. So I'm really excited about the journals I've read already. You all are taking this assignment and running with it, and it's so exciting to see the ideas that you have. And do you see the power of putting a piece of writing aside for a while? I mean, in some cases, this may have been a piece of writing that you haven't seen for a year. I don't know how long it's been, but the power of putting a piece of writing aside, ignoring it for a few days, right? And then coming back to it and going, oh my gosh, I could try this. You really do need that space so that you can see what your writing looks like. When you look at it every day over and over and over again, you sort of lose that perspective. So it's really exciting to read your journals. And I just want to say a few words about genre. You're doing a discussion board post that is public to everyone in the class so that you can learn about genre this week. You all, genre is really closely related to medium, and we're going to be talking about medium in Essay 3 a lot more. But they're very related because genre is a kind of writing that follows certain rules or certain conventions that the reader expects. So here's a simple example. Description. When we say the word description, we know that that genre operates so that the reader can experience what the writer experienced through human sensations, the 5 senses, through painting an image. You know what description looks like. It's usually combined with narration, but not always. Sometimes it's just a description of the thing that the writer is writing about. So genres operate according to these rules or these conventions that readers expect. But the other thing I like to think about with genre is that, yes, they're sometimes based on categories, right? And the categories can be the type of writing that it is. And a really great comparison here is music or going into a bookstore where there are categories of music, right? There's bluegrass, there's blues, there's rock, there's rap, right? So you can think of the categories and then you know what the requirements are. What are the, I keep using the word rules or convention, but there's a style associated with each of these categories that the readers or the listeners are expecting. So genres are, made up of these smaller parts that the people receiving the message in the writing are expecting to experience as they read. And the other thing I think about genre is sometimes when I pick a genre, I can visualize what it looks like. It has a form or a shape. Let me give you a couple of examples. Like the op-ed essay. An op-ed essay is usually published in a periodical, magazine, online, on paper. It has a deep historical tradition of people who don't really identify them as writers being able to express an opinion that they have. And it's definitely a genre that supports argumentation and persuasion. And I know what it looks like. I can see it. It has a shape, right? The same thing is true if I'm looking at my notes. Open letters. Have you ever heard of an open letter? You know what a letter looks like, right? You can visualize it. It has an address at the top and a salutation and a body and then a closing or a goodbye. It can be mailed, it can be published. Open letters are letters that are written to a particular person, but published online, published now online. They used to be published in a different way in the past, but published so that many readers can see the writer talking to a specific reader. So, certain genres have a shape or a form. So as you're working on your discussion board, be thinking about these factors relating to genre and pick the genre that works best for your essay too as you revise it. My last comments on genre, y'all, are that you might be writing in a primary genre. you can sort of identify my essay as this kind of writing, it's this genre, and maybe have some secondary genres within this primary genre, or you might find yourself merging genres together because there are parts of your original essay that you can't get rid of, and you're going to add other things in that match up better with some other genre. So not really creating a whole new genre overall, not that primary, but just merging a couple, and maybe having a harder time identifying what your essay is because you've never seen an essay having these two genres together before. So that's how the genre thing will work. And the last thing I'll say about genre, you all, is that it's weird that I'm making you focus on it. Most writers don't think in this way. They just go, oh, I need to write this, and this is my approach, right? And then these genres just show up. It's not as natural to think through the way I'm asking you to think through, but I'm trying to teach you these concepts. So making the choices the way you are for Essay 2 is a little bit unnatural because, you know, I've made it an assignment requirement, but I think it still teaches you an awareness level of understanding how genres can be synthesized in writing. That we don't often write just a comparison, contrast essay like sometimes we're assigned in an English class. All right, and so, gosh, this has gone a little over 10 minutes, y'all. I apologize for that, but a lot of information to share with you before the weekend, and then I'll add this to the Module 6 list of requirements so that you can watch this in parts and re-listen to parts of this video as you're writing and revising Essay 2. But I think I've already addressed the last point, except to say, you know, the purpose of the assignment is for you to be in the situation that the writers were in, that we were analyzing in the rhetorical analysis, and then you're redefining your purpose, which is awesome to watch you do in your journals. You're practicing the rhetorical situation, you're applying it to your essay, and the last thing I want to say is think about this, you all. You do not have to use argumentation or persuasion to use ethos, pathos, and logos. You don't. It happens naturally. If you're using sources, the sources you choose reflect on you and become a part of your credibility as the writer. That's one way that ethos works, right? If you're using an approach that asks readers to think about emotions or values, you're using pathos. And you don't have to argue or persuade to have readers experience pathos at all. And the same with logos. You don't have to argue or persuade to provide factual information. Sometimes you're just giving readers factual information because you want to teach it to them, or you want to share it with them, or you want them to understand something that you think they don't understand all the way. And that can turn into argumentation, and that can turn into persuasion, but it doesn't have to go that far. You can, of course, go that far, but you know what I'm saying, y'all. I want you to think about how the rhetorical concepts we've been learning really can show up in any kind of writing. So, that's the end of my video. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've given you a long video all semester, but here it is, and hopefully it's the longest one of the semester that you can watch again and again and watch parts. And I wish you so much luck with your revision. I'm so excited to see what you create. That's what I'm thinking about for you right now, that you're creating out of a piece of writing that you've already published with a professor or a teacher, and you're making it yours in a different way. I'm so excited. Have a great weekend, y'all. I'll talk to you during Module 6 at the beginning of Module 6. Have a great weekend. Bye.